Thanks to Krishna Chaitanya-caritāmṛta Jayadvaita Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gokulina Sham Kundra Bhakum ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Navadip Dham ki Jai. Jagannath Puri ki Jai. Ganga Mani ki Jai. Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi ki Jai. Devi ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. All glories to you, Sambhava. All glories to you, Sambhava. All glories to you, Sambhava. Go I'll introduce things. Today we're at the home of Ravindra and Chandrika in Austin, Texas, January 1st, 2026. And I don't think it's over. We have an online class that goes Monday through Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Thursday, Bhagavatam, Thursday, Caitanya-caritāmṛta. So, and the rules are, if you have any questions along the way, feel free to raise your hand or you're welcome. That's the rules. And we'll go to till 7 o'clock local time. And if there's still questions or discussion, we can continue. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishnaya Sri Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Nirvishesha Srimati. Okay, let me fix that. Give me one moment. For the he who's here with the baby, if she likes, she can log on. If she has a phone, she can be in another room and then log on to the program. But you need the password.
YouTube Live. There's a YouTube Live.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. Let me think. Okay, so we're looking at the settings for the audio. They tell me. Excuse me? Is it better now? Okay. 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 So for the benefit of those who are new, I should explain that Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta is a large Bengali poetic work describing the teachings and activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in West Bengal, just in the late 1400s, I guess it would be, and taught this Sankirtan movement of chanting Hare Krishna. The Caitanya-caritāmṛta is considered a postgraduate work because it goes into great depth about the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and therefore the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught Srimad Bhagavatam. And other comments we'll give as we go along. This is the Adi Lila. There are three parts. The first part is Adi Lila. And this is the 17th chapter, text 300. Vivashani Jata Mahaprabhur Bhaktagan Nija Nija Bhave Kore Chaitanya Sevan. All the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, headed by Srivas Thakur, have their own emotional humors in which they render service unto him. So there's much to be said here. Krishna always appears with his devotees. As Ram, he appears with Sita Devi, with Hanuman, with his brothers, and so on. As Krishna, he appears with Nanda Yashoda, with the cowherd boys, with the gopis. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has his associates also. Srivas Thakur, who's mentioned here, is one of the principal associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In his house, Lord Chaitanya used to perform kirtan. When it's said, Nija Nija Bhave, their own emotional humors. Humor here doesn't refer to levity, but to bhav. Bhav means an emotional relationship between, yes, the Lord and his devotees have emotional relationships of different kinds. When the Lord appears as Lord Rama, he has a brotherly relationship with Bharat, Shatrughna, Lakshmana. When he appears as a son. He appears as king to the citizens of the Yodhya, and so on. And they deal accordingly. The Lord exchanges love with Sita Devi as a husband, with Hanuman as master, with Lakshmana as a brother, each with different bhavas, different emotional feelings. When the Lord appears as Krishna. Is there an echo on this speaker, by the way? There's an echo. Should be, no, it's here. Okay. Natural echo. When he appears as Krishna, then he appears as son to Nanda Yashoda. He appears as a friend to the captive boy. He appears as a lover for the gopis, and so on. So now, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, again, he takes different roles and exchanges different loving feelings with his devotees. So that's been described in previous verses, some of the principal devotees of Lord Chaitanya. And the exchanges of feelings between them. Pandit Goshai, Adijar, Jay Russia, Shay Russia Prabhuha, Tara Basha, and the Tara. Personal associates like Gadadhar, Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Roy, and the six Goswamis, headed by Rupa Goswami, are all situated in their respective transcendental humors. Thus, the Lord submits to various positions in various transcendental mellows. Again, mellow is a term that's Prabhupada's translation for rasa. Rasa, again, means a particular relationship between master and servant and master, between friend and friend, between parent and child, between lover and beloved. These are different rasas, different relationships. Prabhupada also refers to them as humors or as mellows. It's quite something to translate these technical terms into English, and Prabhupada has chosen these terms. Gadadhar is one of the, again, close associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Swarup Damodar was the personal secretary of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially when the Lord lived in Puri. For the first 24 years of his appearance, Lord Chaitanya lived in Navadvip, on the side of the Ganga, where we now have a very large ISKCON center. And then he took sannyas, to renounce order of life. And when he took sannyas, he made his headquarters in Jagannath. His mother requested that if you go very far away, I'll never get any news of you. I'll never hear about you. So, but if I ask you to stay at home, that's not good because you've accepted something. So then, what would you like? Could you please make your headquarters at Puri? because Puri, although distant from Mayapur, is close enough that sometimes the devotees would come and go. It wasn't a quick journey, but they would make that journey. So please make your headquarters at Puri. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agreed. Still for some years, 6 years, he traveled throughout South India especially. And then the rest of his time, he spent his full time in Puri, Jagannath Puri. So while at Puri, his personal secretary was Swarup Damodar, who was very expert in revealed scripture, knowing the conclusions, siddhantas of the scriptures, and was also very expert in singing verses from Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures, and who was expert in understanding the moods of the Lord. To be Lord Chaitanya's secretary didn't mean just taking dictation, taking notes. Swarup Damodar, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to feel different ecstatic moods. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we understand from scriptures, is Krishna. Yeah. No. Krishna in the mood of a devotee. So Krishna, well, that's a long story, but Krishna himself comes to spread the Sankirtan movement in this age, Kali Yuga, taking the role of the devotee. Taking the role of the devotee. And he also feels what it's like to be a devotee. To be a devotee of Krishna is so wonderful that even Krishna wants to be a devotee. What is it about me that attracts the devotees? What love do they taste for me? As Krishna, he can't understand those things because he's Krishna. He's not the devotee. So he takes the role of the devotee in order to understand these feelings, these relationships, these ecstasies of devotional service. And very profoundly, Lord Chaitanya experienced these things. So Swarup Damodar was expert in understanding the moods of the Lord at any particular moment. And he could chant verses from Srimad Bhagavatam that would enhance that. There are different suggestions that can be made with anyone that will either dampen their mood or enhance their mood. And the Swarup Damodar was expert in enhancing the mood, understanding his mood and amplifying, allowing Lord Chaitanya to go even more deeply into experiencing particular feelings. Love for Krishna. Ramananda Roy was another intimate personal associate of the Lord, especially at Puri. He'd been the governor of Madras. And but he was expert in understanding the deepest truths of devotional service. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested him that please join me. When I go to Jagannath Puri, please join. So Ramananda Roy retired from government service and joined the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri. And both he and Swarup Damodar together would share with Lord Chaitanya these deep experiences of devotional service. Not the two of them was in hand. Oh yes, if you would do a phone check and see that you're. Then 6 Goswamis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met 2 brothers who had come from high-class Sarsha Brahmin background, but they'd been involved in serving the Muslim government of the time. They'd even taken on Muslim names, so then they were ostracized from the Brahmin community. Just like now we're so strict. Still, if someone were to start dressing like a Muslim, beard like a Muslim, behaving like a Muslim, then he might not be so appreciated in the family, in the Hindu community. They would say, well, okay, you come from a Hindu family, but you look like a Muslim to me. And they would be socially out. Although these days they're not quite. But in those days it was very strict. So if anyone accepted a position of service in the Muslim government, took on Muslim names on top of that, you're a Muslim. And now you can't, you've lost your caste, you're not a Brahmin. You're a Muslim, go talk to them. So that was the position of these 2 brothers. But they very sincerely approached, and they were advised, what should we do? And back then, what do you do if you want to regain your Hindu status? You drink hot ghee and you die, boiling ghee and you die, and then you can come back. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted and engaged them in his Sankirtan movement and made them like his chief lieutenants for teaching Krishna consciousness. He gave them new names, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. And gave them instructions in the science of devotional service. Although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed the deepest moods of ecstasy and love for Krishna, he wasn't merely sentimental. Krishna Bhakti, devotional service to Krishna, is not just something sentimental or emotional. It's a science of the relationship between the absolute truth and the individual living being. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked these Goswamis to write books to establish the science of devotional service on the basis of revealed scripture, gospel. So Rupa Goswami wrote many books, and Sanatana Goswami has also written many books we published. One of the books we have published, Rupa Goswami, Sri Prabhupada has done a summary study, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, under the title Nectar of Devotion. And another book, Upadeshamrita, small book, explaining the science of Bhakti Yoga. Brief form. So these Goswamis wrote many books along with Rupa and Sanatana. They had a nephew, Jiva Goswami. There's a room, right, where the live stream is. Their nephew became Jiva Goswami, who was a philosopher of the highest order, and wrote also many books. Altogether, they were 6: Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent them to Vrindavan, and they became known as the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. They all led very strict, renounced life, and they established holy places dedicated to Krishna, or recovered, restored, rediscovered holy places in Vrindavan associated with Krishna's pastimes. Today, Vrindavan has become a huge place. Back then, it was mostly agricultural land, and so many places of Krishna's activities were not known. There were no big temples. But Sanatana Goswami established the Madanmohan temple, Rupa Goswami, Govindaji temple, Rupa Goswami, Ratnama temple. So Rupa Goswami, all in their individual personal relationships with Sri Chaitanya. Prabhupada's purport in verses 296 through 301, the emotional devoted service of Sri Nityananda, Sri Advaita Prabhu, and others have been fully described. Describing such individual service, the Gaur Gaunodesh Dipika declares that although Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared as a devotee, he is none other than the son of Nanda Maharaj. Similarly, although Sri Nityananda Prabhu appeared as Lord Chaitanya's assistant, he is none other than Baldev, the carrier of the cloud. Advaita Acharya is the incarnation of Sadashiva from the spiritual world. All the devotees headed by Srivas Thakur are his marginal energy, whereas the devotees headed by Gadadhar Pandit are manifestations of his internal potency. This is a little technical. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained in depth in an earlier chapter this work, appeared with 4 other associates, Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar, Srivas Advaita. And they're depicted as Panchatattva, or the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, appearing simultaneously in 5 different features. In the ISKCON temple in Mayapur, they're very large deities of this Panchatattva, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with these 4 associates. And it's explained that 2 of the associates, Nityananda Prabhu and Jayadvaita Prabhu, are in the Vishnu category. They're directly the personality of God appearing in this world. And the other 2 associates, Gadadhar and Srivas, are energies of the Lord. When we talk about Krishna, Krishna has his energy. Without energies, there's no meaning of God. Just like king, unless the king has power, he's not a king. A powerless king is a meaningless term. The king has to have power. Unless you're like a show bottle king, as we sometimes have these days. But real king has power. He calls out the army is mobilized. If he imposes punishment is carried out. And the king has power. The sun has power. His heat, his light. You strip off the heat and light from the sun, you don't have a sun anymore. The sun has meaning because of the sunlight, heat coming from the sun. So even when we speak of the sun, if it's a bright sunny day, we say, oh, the sun is in my room. Actually, the sun is, 93 million miles away. But because the sunlight is there, we say the sun is. Because the energy is so intimately connected with the source of the energy that they're practically identical. You can't separate the sun from the sunshine. So the Lord has energies which are in one sense identical with him, but he's the source and they're the energies. So this material world is the energy of Krishna. Bhumirapo nalo vayu kamano putir vicha. Ahankar iyam ne binna prakriti. The Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, these are my 8 material energies: earth, water, fire, subtly, mind, intelligence, ahankar. These are my material energies. Aparayam nitastvanyam prakitim vitine jiva bhutam yayedam taryate. And higher than these material energies, above them, is the spiritual energy, the living being. We're also energies of God, Krishna, but we're the superior energy. Our bodies are made of the material energy. Therefore, the body only lasts, like all material things, for some time. But within the body, the soul is there. Antavanta ime deha, nityasya Shri. The eternal energy in the form of the soul is present, but the soul is very tiny, and God is very big. but the soul is also part of Krishna. But because he's small, Jayadvaita, struggling with the material energy. He's stuck. Therefore, the living being is called, because of his small size, he's called marginal. He can turn toward Krishna or away from Krishna. If he turns toward Krishna, he's in the light. Turns away from Krishna, he's in the dark. Turns toward Krishna, he's in the spiritual world. Turns away, he's in the spiritual. So like sand on the beach, he's in the marginal position. The sand on the beach can sometimes be underwater, and it can sometimes be on the land. So the living being who turns toward Krishna is on the spiritual side. And turning away from Krishna, he's on the material side. So he's in the marginal position, the dust, just on the edge. So and of course in the spiritual world, the Lord has his entirely spiritual energy. Everything in the spiritual world, that's everything here, is manifest on account of the material energy mixed with the marginal energy. In the spiritual world, everything is directly manifest from Krishna's own internal spiritual energy. So Gadadhar, again, associate of Chaitanya, represents the internal energy for Chaitanya. And Srivas represents the marginal energy. So Krishna is complete when he's surrounded by his incarnations, by his energies. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Advaita Prabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu all belong to Vishnu Tattva, personality of God. Because Lord Chaitanya is an ocean of mercy, he is addressed as Mahaprabhu, whereas Nityananda and Advaita, being two great personalities who assist Lord Chaitanya, are addressed as Prabhu. Thus, there are two Prabhus and one Mahaprabhu. Gadadhar Goswami is a representative of a perfect spiritual master. Srivas Thakur represents a perfect Brahmin devotee. These five are known as the Panchatattva. Well, any questions so far? Any online?
Like Krishna is in everyone's heart. Is like
But this is a question about the topics we discussed. Previous. Okay.
Previous word. I said that like Krishna take the form to experience like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wants to understand how devotee experience, right?
Yes, he wants to understand what the devotees experience. Yes.
My question is like he's like a Paramatma in everyone's heart. So he knows it.
He's Paramatma in everyone's heart, so he knows it. So why does he have to appear as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Paramatma knows everything. He knows, but he doesn't have that experience. I know that you may be my father, but I don't have the experience of what it's like to be my father, because I'm the son. From the point of view of the son, I know this is my father. He treats me like his son. He feels affection for me. I know all that. But I don't really know what it's like to be in the position of my father. Right? I know that he's the Father. I understand all that. But I don't have the experience of being the Father and knowing what it's like to love me. So Paramatma, Krishna is there, Ishvara Sarvabhuta, Hridesya. But he doesn't have that experience of being in the position of the devotee.
Maharaj, is a limitation or it's a leela? Like experience also Krishna would know.
You can say it's a limitation. Although Krishna is unlimited, he runs into a limitation. What is it that Radharani and the gopis are feeling for me? What does that taste like? What is it about me that attracts them so much? So what will I do? Because I want to understand that. Because he's unlimited, the personality of God. So he has a solution. I'll appear as my own devotee. He's still Krishna, but now he's in the position of the devotee, with the feelings of a devotee, the mood of a devotee, the relationship of being a devotee. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya is not properly worshipped as supreme enjoyer. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. And Lord Chaitanya is the devotee of that's the movie. Okay.
Yes, Maharaj.
Hmm.
I have another question if you want.
Yes.
So Maharaj, here Advaita Acharya is a exception. How he comes under like Vishnu?
How he comes as Vishnu, because Sadashiva, how is it that Lord Chaitanya, that Advaita Acharya can be considered Vishnu Tattva when he's Sadashiva? Sadashiva is in the Vishnu category. He's in the Vishnu category. And when, for the business of controlling the mode of ignorance and destroying this material world, he expands himself. He expands himself. But in the spiritual world, he's in the original form, he's present as Sadashiva. And that's Sadashiva appears. Yes.
Maharaj, somewhere else related, Advaita Acharya as Mahavishnu. Is that complete here? Like we are saying yes, Sadashiva.
These things are sometimes it's given one way, sometimes it's given another way. These are different, what can we say, views or realizations or perspectives on the position of Advaita. So who is he? He's Advaita Acharya. But in his spiritual identity, he can be seen as Sadashiva, he can be seen as either way, he's appearing as an incarnation of Krishna. Bhakta, yes. Bhakta avatar. Yes.
So Maharaj, talking about different perspectives and different realization, I guess mostly on perspectives. So what's the best or what to stick to, I guess, when there are different perspectives and sometimes we see totally at a different bandwidth or different frequency. They are at the far.
When there are different perspectives, what do we do? And sometimes there are perspectives that are way
off.
Yeah. There are two kinds of perspectives. The perspectives of the accepted acharyas and the perspectives of mental speculators, sentimentalists, and others who are not in the line of scriptural authority explained by Srila Rupa Goswami and the other followers of Chaitanya about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, Rupa Nuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta. He doesn't accept conclusions or ideas, notions that are contrary to the conclusions of devotional service, as taught by Srila Rupa Goswami, who was authorized, the authorized authority endorsed by Sri Chaitanya. So there are various groups that have their own ideas. Owl, Val, Sakipa, Reiki, Chakra, and Sahaja communities. They take everything according to their own ideas, whims, notions. So their perspectives are rejected. Just like in medicine, there are authorities. At the hospital, the chief medical officer, the chief surgeon, the consulting surgeons, their perspectives. If there's a difficult case, we seek their perspectives. Should we do this? Should we do that? Is it this? Is it that? Because they're experts who can all contribute something from their own point of view. But we don't ask the janitor at the hospital, what do you think? We don't ask the families that are visiting the patients, what do you think? We don't ask people in general, what do you think? Even if someone says, oh, I'm a doctor, oh, doctor? I haven't seen your medical certificate. So those perspectives are not valued. Anyone can have perspective, a free country, a free world. But those are different from the perspectives of the accepted professionals or accepted experts. So those are simply tossed out. But among the experts, there could be different ways of looking at things. Just on some surgical question, one surgeon says, I think we should do it this way. And another says, well, we could do it that way. They'll offer different views of what's going on with this patient. And they're all taken seriously. And they all may have truth to them. They all may have truth to them. Or in some literary question, professor says this poem can be read this way. Another says it can be read that way. Third says it can be read this way. And it's not that one is right, the others are wrong. But we can appreciate Professor Johnson's view and Professor Smith's view and see the poem from different sides. So in regard to Krishna Tattva, in regard to broadly, we follow the experts. Mahajana Yena we follow the Mahajans, or in regard to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Nuga, Rupa. The Vaishnavas are followers of Rupa Goswami. He's the expert, chief expert. And sometimes also other acharyas, other Goswamis will explain something a little differently. All right, that may also be accepted. In regard to Srimad Bhagavatam, there are different commentaries. Sridhar Swami has given a commentary. Krishna Chakravarti Thakur has given his commentary. Viradalacharya has given his commentary. Many learning. And sometimes different opinions are given. And the devotee can accept any opinion from these authorities. Of course, generally we look to our own spiritual master. What is my spiritual master? But if there's no statement from the spiritual master, then we may say, oh, I respect all these opinions, but I'm inclined to this view. Not that we say, Viradavacharya is right, and Baladeva Vibhushan is wrong, Krishna Chakravarti Thakur is wrong. Not like that. All their opinions are to be respected, but this explanation attracts me. I appreciate this version. And that may apply to behavior also. One acharya says you have to do this, and others say you have to do that. All right, we choose one, and we follow. And we'll be on safe ground. Just as in the, yes, in any field, you take one expert, take another expert. Not that if we choose one doctor, we're saying all the other doctors are bogus. But you have to choose some authentic medical expert. Is that all right?
Can I have a follow-up?
Yes, of course.
So sometimes when people are new, we are trying to preach them, but they have certain background. We try to preach them, and then someone else comes in and tries to misguide them. How to deal with those kind of situations?
We're trying to teach people something, and someone else wants to misguide them. Misguide them means some...
Like we talked about those 13 of
Al-Baal, Shaki-Beki. So we have to present the science. Finally, it's up to him. He's not our property. He's not our slave. He's not our subject. We can't order him. This is the right way. You must do this. He's intelligent, to whatever extent he's intelligent. And he has agency, he has freedom. He can do as he wishes. Even Krishna told Arjuna, you taste Chasita Thakur. Now I've explained to you Bhagavad Gita. You do as you like. You're free to make your own choice. And of course, Arjuna says, Kodashe Vachanam, I'll do as you say. But that was up to him. So any candidate or any seeker or anyone who's inquiring or that we're guiding, it's up to him. We can't force him. All we can do is explain it. This is the situation. That Rupa Goswami has said this. Bhakti Siddhanta Bhakti Vinod Thakur said this. Srila Prabhupada is teaching this. And here's why. Here are the reasons why it's not unreasonable, it's not just bias. Oh, we don't like these people. We don't want to do what they're doing. There's some reason why we don't accept the Baal, the Saki-Bekis, the Shantushas. So here are the reasons. And now you can do as you like. What else can we do? So and to that also we should know what are the conclusions, what are the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, what are the teachings of the Goswami, so that people who come can inquire and get the right understanding. But finally, it's up to them. We should make our presentation so authoritative that people will see, oh, yes, they're teaching me. We have our books, we have our practice of devotional service taught by Prabhupada, and we should be able to present it so nicely that a sincere person will say, yes, I'm going to do this. If we ourselves don't know what we're doing, that becomes more difficult. If we're just sentimental, oh, I came and I was so good, and I don't really know about this or that, or like the prasada is great. Well, that has a certain persuasive value, but that may not seal the case. So Prabhupada wrote all these books. He said they're not just for selling, they're for reading. So now we're at 6:59, which is 1 minute from 7. And our online class is supposed to end. And I suppose are there more questions or discussion? Yeah. So I think usually we would, and there's in fact one question online. So I'll take that one question and then usually we end with kirtan. Those who are online will have to have their own kirtan. The kirtan that we'll have at the end. But I'll just take Shan Sindhu Prabhu's question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So, Swami is essentially our leader in terms of the presentation of Krishna consciousness, correct?
Correct.
So, when it comes to the literature of the other Goswamis, I know Narasam Das had course say about the value of reading the other literature, but what's our relationship with them in terms of when we should read them, if we should read them, or if we should focus on the Goswami's presentation.
Among the Goswamis, Srila Rupa Goswami was the chief Goswami. So what about the other writings? Raghunath Das Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami. Should we read them? Should we just read Rupa Goswami? We're not restricted that only Rupa Goswami. The PVT is published the Caitanya-caritāmṛta by Sanatana Goswami. The Lagu Bhagavatamrita, I think we've also published. Now, of course, that's Rupa Goswami. We're publishing Siddhartha's Jiva Goswami. So, one is not Prabhupada himself began Mukundamala Stotra, Kupashekar, Alvar. So, not that, if it's not Rupa Goswami, we won't read it. No, we're ready to read other books of other Goswamis, other commentators, other Vaishnavas, and so on. But one should be guided by the spiritual master on what to read and what not to read. Some things we shouldn't read because it's rubbish. Some unauthorized person has written something. We don't want to read it. Even that was one of Sri Damodar's jobs. Some poet would compose something for Lord Chaitanya to hear. Sri Damodar had to hear it first. Because if it wasn't properly written, then Lord Chaitanya shouldn't have to hear it. Of course, in any case, there's some literature, some writings that, no, we don't want to read it. These people misrepresent the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. They have their own concocted notions. We're not going to touch it. But then there's authentic literature, Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, that's Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baldev Vijayabhushan, so many. But not all of that is meant for us, or not all meant for us at the present stage. Just as in studies, there's beginning study, intermediate study, postdoc study. So if the primary school student wants to read the books for the postdoc course, then he may be advised that, no, you first stick to these books and understand, you get the basics down. And when you've thoroughly understood, then you can read these advanced books. So there's some, especially when we're dealing with the science of Bhakti Yoga, in which there are so many loving exchanges between Krishna and the devotees. One has to understand them scientifically. Otherwise, we understand them according to our own sentiments. You may misunderstand them, think that there's something like the activities of the conditioned souls. To understand these things, advanced topics, one has to be purified. One has to be advanced. So we study under the guidance of the spiritual master. Why we accept any spiritual master. So that we get guidance. Yes, you read this, you're like medicine. You can go into the drugstore and say, give me the most powerful thing you've got. But that's not the way to do it. You go to the doctor prescribes, this is the right medicine for you. And so we go to the pharmacy and get that medicine. So in a similar way, we're to be guided in reading even the authors. Is that okay, Shamsun? So, uncharacteristically, we'll end the online session without kirtan. You can carry on actually without. We don't shut you off. Don't think. Leave. Everybody leaves. Although I'm never quite sure. Leave meeting. Okay. Yeah, not yet. Meeting for leave meeting. And we'll continue here. Hare Krishna. Sign of your host. Okay. Sundar, you're about to be assigned as the new host. So.
Okay. I might fall asleep since I'm sick, but I'll leave my phone on so it doesn't close.
It will only be 2 or 3 minutes more because we've already got a second. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Jai. You're done. Yes, you have. Was your question finished?
Anyone else? So, Maharaj, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared as the devotee, right? In the mood of devotee.
Yes.
So, we can consider him as incarnation of Krishna, or we can...
How do he appears as a devotee, so how do we think of him as an incarnation of Krishna? For this, we're guided by the author of Chaitanya and by the other Vaishnava acharyas, that he's not different from the original Krishna. Ete Chamsa Kalapamsa Krishna Subhavam Bhagavatam. There are many different incarnations. Raha, Kurma, Vishanga. But there's an original personality. The others have expanded. He's called Bhagavan Swayam, the personality of God, the original personality. So Krishna is that original personality. And Caitanya-caritāmṛta Swami instructs us that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that same original personality. Is that okay?
So the follow-up question is like we can offer to see at the feet of
Yes.
Chaitanya.
The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, the Sringadev, so on, any Vishnu Tattva, we can offer to see everything. But to the Shakti Tattva, we don't offer even to Srimati Radharani. Only for Vishnu. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
This is off topic, but regarding the book,
Wow, topic. Okay.
regarding the book you wrote on Kirtan.
Yes.
John,
When you're going off topic, if you're. There's no water in it this time. Yes, about the book.
so the question came up because you mentioned that in a society of Brahmins, if somebody starts, starts growing a beard and
Yeah.
acts like a Muslim, then he gets to be ostracized and
Mhm.
he gets talked to.
Mhm.
But we find that in today's ISKCON, such devotees are welcomed and they are given leading positions to lead, keep them.
Mhm.
So should there be any standards regarding who should lead Kirtan and who should not lead Kirtan?
Yes, there should be a standard. The main standard is to be following four regulative principles. That's the main thing. And chanting Hare Krishna. Even newcomers, we give them a chance to chant Hare Krishna. Even if they're not following, we say, please, you chant. But as far as actually being the leaders of the kirtan, we look to be practicing devotees, which especially means strictly following four regulative principles and chanting 16 minutes a day, Mahamantra, and following the practice of devotional service. Now, as far as dress, as far as all those things, there are standards. Srila Prabhupada was pretty clear about that. He said the followers of Lord Chaitanya considered beards objectionable. Objectionable. When Sanatana Goswami came to coming through the jungles and so on, he arrived at the home of Caitanya-caritāmṛta. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, there's some Vaishnava outside. Please invite him in. Went outside. He saw there's like some Muslim fakir. Because Sanatana Goswami was just coming from prisons and this and that. And there's nobody there, just some Muslim fakir. Invite him in. So Sanatana Goswami came in, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at once embraced him, and Mishra was astonished what's going on. So that everything was explained. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Tapan Mishra, go and give him proper clothes, and he let him be properly shaved, so that he looks like a gentleman. That was Prabhupada. Yeah. So that he looks like a gentleman. And Prabhupada comments that with this we can understand that the devotee should be clean shaven. The word shaven considered beards objectionable, and beards objectionable. He did, at the time I joined, he had a few disciples who were keeping beards. And Prabhupada didn't always, just crash down on them. You shave off your beard or else. But he let it be known. In fact, rather humorously, maybe some of you have heard the name of Jayadvaita. He was one of the early editors of Bhakti. And he also assisted in writing and editing some of Srila Prabhupada's books. He was a instructor, university instructor, and he was keeping a beard, like Allen Ginsberg, beard. And hair. So I think he knew that Prabhupada wasn't happy about this. But anyway, he was keeping that profile here. And Prabhupada even made him a member of the governing body, one of the early governing body. And the governing body members would, in rotation, come and spend time. Hare came. I think Prabhupada was in Europe. And Hare came and he said to Srila Prabhupada, surprise for you. And then he showed that he'd shaved his head. But he kept his beard. So Prabhupada said, you look like a Muslim. So, because what is this beard, especially these days? It means what one sociologist called our identity kit. Our clothes, our hair, our beard or no beard, earrings or no earrings, our sari, our kurta or our pants or whatever. Even the style of our glasses and the style of the shoe. All of these things, what kind of car we got. This is all part of our identity kit. Somebody looks at you and says, oh, he's a, what's the word? Free thinker. Or he's a, looks like a banker or a lawyer. Or looks like an artist, style. So, where they, at the airport today, there was a lady with, African American lady with purple braids and bright pink. Out of the shoes, they were like almost everything pink. Big, pink, and purple hair. So, that's part of her identity kit. And other people have, their own. Sometimes you see that with mohawks or, whatever it is. These days, tattoos are the big part of people's identity. So in this way, we broadcast to people here who I have. We project a certain identity. But Rupa Goswami is teaching us Sarvopadi Vinirmukta. Not pertaining. We want to give up with these identities. Free thinker, college professor, business shark, whatever it is. Our identity is to be Gopi Varta Padakamaleo Dasa Dasa, servant of the servant of Krishna. So we dress in a way that reflects that identity, therefore Tilak, and so on. And Prabhupada, he asked his devotees either to wear this dhoti, or just like a gentleman. Not like a hippie, that's those days. So, particularly, how exactly who you have lead kirtan, who you don't, these are local managerial considerations. Maybe they know the person, and even though he's not regular in his dress or appearance, they consider him a sincere person. They want to give him a chance. They give him a chance. Or he's dressed just like a Paka Vaishnava, but they know this person's behavior is not very good. They don't want to let him be kirtan. So that's up to the local managers. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you do it this way, do it that way. They're in that position because they're supposed to have good judgment. So it's up to them. But the principle, or Prabhupada's standard, I didn't address this in my book. I figured it was enough to deal with just in the kirtan itself. But the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prabhupada say, consider beards protection. And sometimes we see that, being the kirtan, I talked about this, I think, on Namras's podcast. We become kirtaniyas, and then we have a profile that we project. Style, an identity. It might be the Vrindavan Pujari profile, with the Bhagavandi, silk Bhagavandi, and maybe Radhakund Tilak, and so on. And we kind of project that's who we are. Or we wear sort of rough cloth, and and we have the Indra caveman look. Or we have, or the Vrindavan Babaji look, or the beard, or the this or that, and it's we project a profile. And sometimes it's more about the profile than we project a profile, but then when you look at me, do I wake up early in the morning? No. Do I chant 16 hours a day? No, not really. Do I follow the 4 regular principles? Pretty much. Do I read Prabhupada's books? So the standard should be that for my kirtan to have real potency, I should be following the principles of devotional service, because kirtan doesn't exist in isolation. It's part of a process. It's part of a process. So Prabhupada speaks to this, and I've included from Prabhupada where Prabhupada says that it's not just that we want people to chant Hare Krishna, certainly we do, but we want them to take up the process. It's part of a larger project. It's not just that we become musicians and we chant nicely, we sort of, what's the word, clone Bhimsen Joshi or Anup Jalota, and we've got a certain sound, we've got a look, we've got a sound, profile. We've got to follow. But we take up the process of devotional service because that's where the real potency is. And that's the context in which we're meant to chant Hare Krishna. It's not just that we come and we do our musical thing and everybody goes, wow, and applauds and gets ecstatic. But there's a process of devotional life. That's what we're meant to learn. In the beginning, therefore, one should come under in the beginning we have some interest, and then we associate with devotees. then we take up bhajan. What does that mean? It means we come under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, and we adopt these principles of devotional service. When we read the Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami's, he's presenting the science of devotional service, not just sentiment and feeling, love, but bhakti. Bhakti, yes, but bhakti turns out to be a science, not just a sentiment. And when Prabhupada presents the nectar of devotion, we learn that science. What do we do? What are the apparatus we should avoid? What are the practices we should adopt? So all of these things should be understood by the devotees who want to know the science. And we should adopt these things. We're serious if our goal is to go back to God. Then anukulyasya sankalpa, atikulyasya varjana. Whatever will help me in devotional service, I should try to accept. And whatever will hold me back, then why do I want that? Or to reject. So these things are there. So I haven't gone into dress style. There's some in Kirtan standard book, but I've tried to extensively document what Prabhupada's standards were for the Kirtan itself. And to some extent also what should be the consciousness of the chanters, what should be our consciousness when we're chanting Hare Krishna. And so all of these things talked about in the Kirtan standards book. There's some things Prabhupada didn't want us to do. And then there are other just take the phone and go to the next room and figure out. Thank you. So this book is meant to document that because we're all going to be gone. We're those who took initiation from Srila Prabhupada. We're all dropping off the earth. And soon none of us will be left. But it would be helpful, it seemed to me, to preserve what Prabhupada's instructions were, not just what he wrote in the book, but letters are there, personal experiences of the devotees, what Prabhupada told me. Because the temples are Prabhupada's temples, because he's the founder of Acharya, which means the Acharya who sets the standard for the whole society. He's the original. So we should know what Prabhupada's standards are. And if we so desire, we should follow Srila Prabhupada. If we don't want to follow Prabhupada's standards, again, it takes to see to talk as we like. But our recommendation is do Mahajani and Katha. Follow the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. You'll never be wrong. We follow his instructions, his standards. But for that, we have to know what they are. So I've pulled together this book. And I've written another book, Caitanya-caritāmṛta, and that's for outreach. That's for reaching out to people. This book, Srila Prabhupada's Kirtan standards, this one is meant for. So my idea is that every devotee should have a copy of this book. It's a handbook for Kirtan. It's not. It doesn't tell you how to play mridanga. It won't teach you the beats, or it certainly won't help you alankars. It won't teach you anything about how to do that. teach you something, mostly it'll teach you not to do that. Prabhupada didn't appreciate alankars and non-alankars, musical decorations, because it's not a musical approach. There are people who can out alankars like any professional singers. And we know them because we have our center in Bombay, and so many of the professionals are there. And we know that among them, are very famous and very appreciated like singers. And yet they drink, so we're not after musical performances. We're after sincere chanting of Krishna. And Prabhupada gave the example that for writing his books he was using the typewriter, but that doesn't mean that he was a typist. So we use music for chanting Hare Krishna, but we're not musicians. That's so my idea is that every devotee should know Prabhupada's kirtans. And there, it's not that I need to sell books, I have a family to support. But I would hope that every devotee would want to have, especially those who are leading the kirtan. Those who are leading the kirtan. It's good if you know that I'm leading something that Prabhupada told us not to chant. Or Prabhupada loved this bhajan, so let me chant this. Prabhupada said to do this, not to do that. So especially, and there are surprises in the book, for things that we all, because there's an effect here. There are things that we all think must be the way you do it. Why? Because when we joined, that's how we do it. But who taught us? People who learned it from people who came before them. And where did they get it? Well, we don't really know. Because there were things that people invented or came up with after Prabhupada's departure or during Prabhupada's time, but not from Prabhupada. And then it becomes like what everybody does. And then it's a shock when we hear that Prabhupada said not to do it or that it didn't come from Prabhupada. People are shocked. Because things get to be established as a tradition, even though we don't know where it came from. You know the story of Sargal Singh? Prabhupada told this story. It was a sort of a popular play in this country for some time. And the story is that there was a man who came to the village and he shaved his head as we do when a dear relative dies. And he met the grocer and the man was lamenting that he shaved his head. Has there been a death in your family? Yes, Sargal Singh is dead. And he was so noble and he was so great. And now he's dead. He just wanted to serve, and now he's died. And he was crying and lamenting, and the grocer was so moved that he shaved his head also. And he was also lamenting that Sargal Singh, such a noble soul, died. And it went to the next person in the village, and the next person. Soon the whole village had shaved their head. The mayor had shaved his head, and the news spread everywhere that Sargal Singh is dead. So just like we have flags at half-mast, So everyone was shaving their head and lamenting the death of Sargal Singh. But finally it came to the attention of, depending which way you saw the play, a very intelligent person or the king, the governor. And And it came to his attention that Sargal Singh has died, and the best friend with everyone, and he just wanted to serve, and he was so noble. And the Sargal Singh. And whoever told him didn't know. So it went back down the line to the governor, to the mayor, to the grocer, and finally to the original lamenter. And it came out that this original lamenter was a washerman, and that Sargal Singh was the washerman's ass. So sometimes things spread from one person to the next, but we really don't know the original source of what it's all about. So, for that reason, there's a need for such a book. Which is received a good reception. It's being translated as we speak. No, it's already translated into Hindi and Bengali. The process of production. Because sometimes we go to Vrindavan and, well, whatever we hear in Vrindavan, that must be the standard. No. So I'm saying some Vrindavan probably. In fact, my regional seminar on this was done in Bombay at the request of David Approval, because he needed some guidance for the devotees there. And thank you for raising the question. And while we're at it, so the book is, we do have a box of them, and they are available on their $15.95 or whatever you'd like to give, and take them. For anyone who cares about Srila Prabhupada's standards for kirtan, this is an essential book. So do take advantage of it. While I'm here, I'll sign any copies. If you ever get in financial trouble, you can sell it on eBay. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Regarding the standards of the songs want to sing. Usually we sing Hare Krishna Maharaj at the temple. We also sing the songs written by Gaudi or Smacharyas. Is it also allowed to sing other acharyas from different sampradayas like Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya?
Interesting question. It was asked to me earlier today or previous day. Can we sing songs by other Vaishnava acharyas from different sampradayas? Sometimes Prabhupada himself chanted Mukunda Kumala, rather Kulashekar. Generally in the temple is our Gaudiya Acharya song, our son. I never heard Prabhupada say anything particular about songs from other sampradayas. But, he gave us what he wanted us to get. At one time, one may chant this and that. Also, the temples seem to be quite particular. It's like a school. At this school they may do it this way, at that school they may do it that way. But if you join a school, then you do it the way it's done at that school. Otherwise, if we try and mix, well, they do the deity worship in this sampradaya this way, they do the deity worship in that sampradaya another way, then what happened to the way we were taught to be? So, from the Acharya, yes, we learn that this is the school, and this is how we're to do it. But they do it just like 16 rounds. Even all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas may not chant 16 rounds. They may chant 64 rounds a day. They may chant 4 rounds a day. But in our school, those who were initiated, it's 16 rounds a day. And we can't say, well, can't we do it the way they do it over in this month, this society? No, this is our standard. This is our standard. So the deity worship, Prabhupada, that we were just hearing a class in New York yesterday. Prabhupada was talking about, it was a simple thing, it was just talking about how we should stick to this, how we should faithfully do the deity worship. And his main point was not to invent anything. Because there's always a tendency to invent something new. We all want novelty. We don't want to just do the same thing. And Prabhupada was always concerned about that. So Prabhupada gave a certain standard, and at least for our temples, he seems to want us to follow that standard. Otherwise, what we do with some other occasion or some other location, maybe. But when we're presenting the Krishna consciousness, this is our standard. And again, these things are also under the direction of the spiritual masters. So this is all right.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful class. Maharaj, today is New Year, so any advices you would give us? How do we approach the New Year?
How do we approach the New Year? As practicing devotees. Start the New Year by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. That's it.
Thank you, Maharaj. So, Maharaj, I have a question related to the class. So, Caitanya-Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but why is he not part of the Dashavatars? And until I came to ISKCON, I didn't know him. Not widely popular.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is supposed to be Krishna himself. Why is he not one of the 10 avatars? 2 reasons we can give. One is that's only 10. Dashavatara. What is that? In Bhagavatam, in the first canto, it said the avatars of the Lord are innumerable, like the waves of the ocean. Then somebody, if you ask someone, you're saying that your guru is an avatar, what's the evidence? And then he says, oh, well, the avatars are innumerable. That's not evidence. That's not evidence. Just like if I say presidents of the United States, and you say, what's the evidence? Say, well, there's so many presidents, one after another, so now I'm. Or somebody gives you a tangerine and tells you it's an apple. You say, well, it doesn't look like an apple to me. He says, no, there's so many different varieties of apples. So this is also an apple. So that's not evidence. We don't accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Krishna because there are so many incarnations of Krishna. And anyone can say that. I'm also a Krishna. So that's one reason. What was one reason? Why was not included among the 10? That was the question. First reason is 10 doesn't include everything. Another reason is it's that Krishna is known as Tri Yuga, one who appears in 3 ages. Caitanya Mahaprabhu is somewhat hidden. Somewhat hidden. But why do we accept him? Krishna Varnam Tushar Krishna Parsha. Yagyaya Sankirtana Janti. There was some discussion in Bhagavatam, the Navayogandras, and the symptoms of the different avatars were given. Yuga avatar, Treta Yuga avatar, Sat Yuga avatar, Dwapara Yuga avatar, and Kali Yuga avatar. And what are the signs of the Kali Yuga avatar? Krishna Varna. He's in the category of Krishna. And he's always chanting these two varnas, still Krishna. So he's in the Krishna category. But Tushar, Krishna. By complexion, he's not Krishna. Krishna means black. Krishna is black. But this incarnation is not black. Then what color is he? So for that, we go back to the birth ceremony of Lord Krishna and the consultation by Nanda Maharaj with Durgamani, the astrologer. And he explains that your son appears at every age. He appears in white, in the Satya, he's in Treta Yuga, he appears in red. And Dwapara Yuga, he appears in black. And Kali Yuga, gold. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in fair complexion, golden complexion. So Tushar Krishna, although he's not black like Krishna, still he's Krishna. And Sango Pangrashtra Parsha. In the other ages, he carries a weapon. That's Ramchandra, he carries a bow and arrow. As Krishna, he's got a chakra. As Parshuram, he's got a chopper. And Krishna, as Balaram, he has a club or wow. Vinashaya introduced Kirtan for obliterating the demons. But in Kali Yuga, if we kill all the demons, there'll be nobody left. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's weapons, his associates are his or another meaning of Anga is limb. So his body is so beautiful that it attracts everyone. And Yagyaya Sankirtāmṛta. When the incarnation is described, his appearance is described, and his mission is described. What is his mission? Harinam Sankirtan. Yagyaya Sankirtāmṛta. Yajati Yusuf. So those who are intelligent will engage in the service of this incarnation of Krishna. Is that okay? And there are other quotations also, especially this quotation is very.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes. We have to accept someone as incarnation on the evidence of Shastra, not by sentiment, not by miracle stories, but by, my wife's health was terrible, and then I prayed to Lord such and she miraculously recovered. Not miracle stories. Shastra. Does not Shastra.
Hare Krishna. So,
yes, okay.
so you said like in these words, like devotee means by and they will get ecstasy. And even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to feel that ecstasy. So, how when we going for preaching, that is the real happiness, right? So we need to say that the real happiness is being a devotee. So in this audience also we have many first timers are there. So how can, because when we ask like book, or they say we are okay, I'm comfortable, like they want to walk away, they don't want to listen to us. So in this audience also, so first timers are there.
Well, that's good. They're interested. They're not the ones who said, no, I already.
Now,
So that's the beginning, to have some initial interest. All right, what are these people talking about? And it's all right, let me invest now. So see what this is about. That's the beginning, there's some interest.
so how to continue that interest, taking part,
Just
not attending.
Present the thing as it is. I'm interested, what is it? So don't point and say, well, it's really, what you're really interested in, that's what we're, people like to do that. What are you interested in? Politics? Oh, we're all about politics. You just present, here's what it is. This is the teaching, these are the books, this is the chanting, practical also, it's not just philosophy, but there's chanting, there's dancing, there's everything. And there's reasons why we're doing these things. It's there from Shastra. And you can see it also transformative. Even people from low Western backgrounds can take to this. We have some principles also. Purify the heart. And this Maha Mantra you can read. You can also try it. You'll experience something. So in this way we present it, and some people will take further interest. All right, let me come again. All right, let me take a book. All right, let me find out. Let me ask some hard questions. They'll take further interest. And others, they'll drop off the map. They came, they saw what it was about, they spent an hour or so, and thank you very much. And they don't take, or we don't see them for a while, and then later they do come again. Everyone's an individual case. Everyone has their own interest and history. Everyone has their own background, even from previous lifetimes. Some have come with a background of having practiced very seriously devotional service in a previous life. So they come in, day one, they're like ready to jump in. Others, they may also have some previous spiritual credit, but they come a little more cautiously. But we just present the thing as it is. And that's what Prabhupada did. He just, here it is. And if you're sincere, you'll take it. He told one person, this is the truth, and if you're sincere, you'll accept it. That's what we do. We don't compromise it to fit what you would like to do or what you would like to be. But there's in the authority of saying, that's our job. We don't have to concoct something new or devise something new. We're like postman. Takes your letter, delivers it, job done. What you do with the letter, that's your business. My job is just to deliver it. Will you become a devotee? Will you accept a Christian? Right? That's not only him. I'm just the postman. I'm just the postman. I can't make anyone a devotee. I can just present the science of Krishna or the message of Krishna. And then you, as the person who's received it, it's up to you. Consider. Krishna said, consider it very carefully and do what you like. Kaviraj Goswami said, if you're interested in to be, just consider the teachings of Chaitanya Maharaj. Should we stop here? Okay. Thank you all very much. Prabhupada ki jai.
The host is going to give a quick summary of what we talked about.
Oh,
Just quick summary, okay?
yes.